What do you think would happen societally from the perspective of people being willing to jump in and take matters into their own hand, assist other citizens, be willing to subdue somebody who is clearly articulating the desire to do harm to somebody else if he is tried and found guilty of murder? Do you think that that would have cascading consequences on people's willingness to step in?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the Good Samaritan law on the books for that exact reason, because there was a period of time where a lot of people were getting civilly sued for helping. And so a car would be flipped upside down, it would be on fire. And this is actually a case. A gentleman would break in there, crash in there, further injure the person that was already injured, pull them out of a burning car where they would certainly perish, and then they would be civilly sued and be held liable. And so a lot of people started bypassing these incidents where you saw somebody in harm's way and potentially about to die, and you would just drive your car back by, you pick up a phone and record it, which still happens today. And so they developed this new ordinance of this Good Samaritan law, which basically said if you did that and the person was further injured or passed away, you could be held liable for actually bypassing. And it gets very convoluted. Think about it from a police perspective. The police are in that exact situation where they go in to help, something happens, it goes wrong, they wind up injuring or killing somebody, they get prosecuted. They have a qualified immunity from civil suit, but they get prosecuted by the DA's office. So now law enforcement officers more than ever are very reserved and less willing to go into harm's way to help people because they don't want to go to prison for the rest of their lives. And I would feel that same way. So certainly it's going to have a profound impact. And I even thinking about it from my own personal perspective and us teaching this personal defense class. I'm teaching November 9th at Phil Craft HQ in Provo. And I'm actually going to change the curriculum based on my own personal experiences dealing with law enforcement, but also this understanding that, hey, if you get too involved and you don't know what you're doing and you're just trying to be a good guy, that might not be enough. You might end up in handcuffs yourself.
What do you think, in your mind, what is the responsibility of a citizen who is on that train? And, there's one thing that we have to discuss about this, and this is from my understanding of how this occurred. In the courses that you and I have taught together, we stress distance because distance can equate to time, time to make decisions, time to understand what's going on, time to look at people's hands to identify, are they friend or foe? Do they have threat? Do they have the desire to do harm? You put yourself in an enclosed environment on a subway in New York. That's largely gone, depending on how close this person is to you. So we have to strip that portion of the conversation away. What role or obligation in your mind does a citizen have in that situation? Or do they have any?
Yeah, I mean, that's the best question because it comes down to a moral and ethical dilemma. Here's my personal take on it because I train this, and this is what I'm going to advise my students in the reforming of this class. One, you only get involved in what you could technically affect based on your training, your aptitude, and your personal courage. I also think there are extreme circumstances whereby if the person's life is on the line and you feel the moral or ethical need or desire to get involved, you should. So what I want people to understand is like there are many situations nearly daily that happen in our own towns and cities that potentially require technical expertise where people's lives aren't on the line. It's the Good Samaritans who fell and sprung their ankle or broke their leg or injured in a vehicle accident, where you, because you have training in emergency response or crisis management or first aid, can very well affect the impact of that. But there are other circumstances where you have no technical expertise and somebody's drowning in water, somebody potentially is burning alive in a car, where you have to make that moral and ethical decision under a lot of pressure. This particular case, nobody's life was in danger from what I've read of the case. And that's the conundrum, because it's like, well, Nobody's life was endangered, yet you involved yourself. Now, if me and you were involved in this technically, that dude would have been out in a matter of seconds, especially with a lot of pressure. Like a lot of people understand this idea of this choke,
Yeah.
or blood versus airway, but they don't know and understand the effect of or the impact of pressure. And for me and you to do that, amount of pressure would nearly instantaneously. I've seen it instantaneously. I mean, before targets, when I was a sniper and we were setting containment, and we knew we had a period of time before the breach went off. If we were in a house where somebody was potentially going to compromise the assault force, and they got crazy, we wouldn't put masking tape over the mouth. I put them in a rear naked choke, apply pressure, and they would be out and go to sleep. By the time they woke up, the assault was already conducted. It was very safe and very ethical based on the circumstances we were involved with in war. If me and you were involved in that, that person would have been out in a very short period of time, put to sleep, and then even knowing the tactics to recover them would have been appropriate. I don't think Penny knew specifically how to do that, and he was doing his best. Now that's going to be the weight of the burden that he deals with in this case, and it's going to be hard to see. I really couldn't tell you where I think it's going to go. I'm afraid though it's going to further disrupt good, responsible citizens who want to affect good impact and change, especially with all the politics involved with law enforcement. And I don't like it, man. I hate to see Penny go to prison for 20 years based on him knowing and feeling he was doing the right thing when it was potentially a tragic accident.